Hey folks, it's Jim, it's Julie, it's episode 269 of Geeking Out. Welcome to the show. We've got count 'em, six, new comic book reviews just for you. So let's start it off with...
Marvel Knights X-Men number 1 of 5 is first up for me today, and the X-Men, namely Wolverine, Kitty Pryde, and Rogue, are off to the Appalachian Mountains after Rachel receives a vision of a young mutant being hunted and killed. It's now the X-Men's mission to protect the 2 mutants left in the backwater town and bring the killer to justice. This was an interesting story. I'm intrigued to see where they're going with it, though the art is not really my normal style.
Yeah, it really takes a bit to get used to stylistically.
It does. Yeah, you have to be...
And it being a Marvel Knights book, it's a bit more mature than...
It is. Though I will say that this art style is very similar to the Marvel Knights Spider-Man that released. Yeah. So if you read the Spider-Man and enjoyed the art, definitely check this out. I like the direction that they're going. They've brought in a twist villain that I wasn't expecting, and I think that you guys will all enjoy it. So check out Marvel Knights X-Men number 1. It's a 5-part miniseries. Alright,
next up, we have one from a couple weeks ago. We have Drumheller, number 1. And in this one, when shock-induced visions drive a detective specializing in the paranormal to a small town in South Dakota, he finds himself up against flesh-hungry bogmen, his ex-girlfriend, and a demon.
Demons.
And then things get weird.
And then they get weird.
Yeah.
Wow.
So this is an interesting one. But the problem with it, the main problem with it is that it really just jumps into the story and you're really given no direction on who any of these characters are. You're introduced to his ex-girlfriend in the middle of the book, and that's really all the explanation you get.
This is my ex-girlfriend.
That and she's a werewolf.
Oh.
So...
Because, you know, that's not weird at all.
No. And sleeping with the bogman and etc. Yeah, there's some weird stuff in here. But it's all the better for it, I think. It really adds to the flavor of the book. And the style is actually pretty interesting.
Cool.
So if you want to try out something that might be a tad confusing at first, but I'm sure will actually be explained as it goes on, check out Drumheller. It's one of a kind.
Alright, next up for me today, a book from, I think actually a couple months back now. I think this one released the end of September. I forgot to double check.
We're just a little behind.
Well, there was the Villains month, and then I wasn't allowed to read Marvel or DC for a month.
Yeah.
So I'm finally catching up with Captain America Living Legend. This is number 1 of 4. And when a space station is mysteriously pulled from orbit, it falls to Captain America to investigate.
Wait, it fell to him? Wow, that's really specific falling right there.
Yep, this villain, he just wanted to be caught, I guess.
I suppose.
Brought it right to the Cap.
Yep, brought that satellite right down on the Cap.
Yep. Thankfully, he's the Cap, so he's fine.
Yes.
Have no fears. So, unfortunately, the weird thing is that somehow Captain America has ties with this space station being pulled from orbit. So, I am highly recommending that you guys read this. If you are a Captain America fan at all, you should check it out. I am not a Captain America fan at all, and I still really enjoyed it. So if you're looking...
It's got some just beautiful art.
Oh my goodness. The art is spectacular. It's unique. I haven't seen anything like it before. It's very crisp and clean and bright and
it's almost photorealistic, almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It feels like somebody's put a whole lot of effort and work, and people cared when they made this book. And that, I think, is what's really making it fantastic. So, I highly recommend that you check out Captain America Living Legend. It's a 4-issue miniseries. It's not a large investment. The 4th issue should be out. If it's not out sometime in November, it'll be in December. So it's not a very long wait if you haven't seen it. And
if you miss out on the 4 issues, the trade won't be far behind.
The trade will be soon. I highly recommend it.
All right, next up, we have Umbral, number 1. And in this one, the young thief named Rascal witnesses the horrific murder of the royal family. Now, the world's dark legends will be revived, and only Rascal knows it's happening. Will she be able to escape the Umbral?
Oh, Rascal's a girl?
Rascal's a girl.
That's cool.
Yeah. So this was fantastically written. Beautiful, dark fantasy story. Mm-hmm. Kind of almost Dark Crystal / Labyrinth-esque. Stylistically, mind you. Mm-hmm. So it really works on a really good level.
Oh, fantastic.
Where this kind of skips a beat a little bit, maybe is with the art.
I'm not fond of the art.
Stylistically, when it gets to the Umbral parts, it works. But when it's in the real world and everything, it just kind of falls apart for me. Just a tad.
Yeah,
just a tad.
That's how I feel.
I thought it really worked well when it was in the alternate Umbral state.
For me, flipping through, I think it just felt a little rushed. And that could be because we had just looked at Captain America and then we looked at Umbral.
Yeah.
So my perspective could be very tainted. Reed is, I'd say, 99.9% tainted.
But still, what this thing really is good at is a really interesting story with a very good protagonist and a very strong female protagonist, which is always a good thing.
Yes.
Especially considering what I'm going to have to rant about in a few minutes.
I'm going to jump in here and make a note that this is rated M for mature.
Yeah.
So if you heard that and thought of your young female
no.
your young person that you know, this is...
It's very violent. It's very, very violent, but it's done in a fantastical setting, so...
It's dark, it's mature, you'll want to use your discretion.
Yes, but if you're old enough to read it, do yourself a favor, check it out at least. It's a very interesting read.
Alright, last up for me on my marvelous week of Marvel titles is XMen Gold.
No, we don't do Marvelous until March. Marvelous March.
But it was a marvelous week. Okay, I can have a marvelous week in November if I want to.
Alright. We'll allow it this time.
So, X-Men Gold is Marvel celebrating 50 years of X-Men.
Oh, is that all?
Yes. Drop in the bucket. It's a one-shot, and it's a compilation of six stories. So, I'm going to give you the briefest overview, and I'm going to start off by telling you...
Because there's a lot of stories in this.
Yeah, it's a big book. It's a $5.99 cover price. Well worth the investment. I really enjoyed a lot of the stories. I enjoyed a lot of aspects. Yeah, so, couple of brief recaps. The X-Men take on a Sentinel as tall as an New York City skyscraper. Jean declares that she will date the first person to reach the danger room, and hilarity ensues.
That can't end well.
We get a short where we see Banshee and Sunfire meet for the first time. Then, take a step back in time to see Logan assess his options when he is first joining the team. We get a view of an alternate universe where Magneto's been helping to achieve peace between humans and mutants. It was really neat. That story has a really great twist that I loved.
Which we're not spoiling at all.
No.
No.
You have to read it, and you should, because it's great. And then we get some excerpts from Amazing X-Men and All New X-Men. So, really, really good book. You've got some stories by some really great writers, one of which is that very little known Stan Lee guy.
Yeah.
He's written one of the stories.
Whoever he is.
Whoever that guy is.
I hear he thinks he's important or something. I don't know.
So guys, check out...
Rants from fans in 3, 2...
Check out X-Men Gold #1. I think you'll really enjoy it.
Alright. And last, and certainly least this week, oh boy, it's Clown Fatale, #1. I'll go into the synopsis, and then I'll get to the rant.
Yes, tell us about the story.
What story? Alright, so the circus has come to town, and 4 female clowns, who are a bit more than they seem, are hired to be contract killers. Their first target? A local drug dealer. But the clowns aren't the only circus performers with dark secrets and a killer instinct.
Is the town that they arrive in New York City?
No.
Okay.
It's just some little podunk town.
Because if it was New York City, then I was going to rip on them for their Court of Owls takeover.
Yeah. Oh, where do I begin?
At the very beginning. It's a very good place to start.
Yeah. This book is complete and utter garbage. This is one of the worst books I have read in a long time.
And you read Lobo.
Yeah. And Lobo's on the same shelf as this on the bad scale. This is done in a grindhouse style, okay? These characters are all of them, they're despicable. I can't like a single one. And here's the thing about a grindhouse film. I've seen a lot of grindhouse and exploitation films. There's at least in most of them, at least one character that you actually like and want to see live or anything. I want all these characters to die.
Now.
None of these characters are likable at all. These are despicable people. Not to mention that it's all female. It's an all-female cast.
Gee, thanks, guys.
Yeah, and
now, that said, it would be unfair. It's unfair for me to say that it's wrong of them to do an all-female cast with despicable characters and insinuate that it should have been a male cast. That's still not right. It's still a tree or 10 trees that didn't need to be killed.
No. But this is just one of the worst examples of just getting everything that you could possibly get wrong. And I will be honest, I picked it up for the title alone. The title is fantastic.
Great title, good cover.
It's going to garner interest just with the title alone, but as soon as you read it, you're going to be as pissed off as I am. Quite honestly. And it is just... The art here is okay. I'm not going to say anything bad about the art. But story-wise, it is just despicable on so many levels. And it's not just the female characters either. Pretty much every character in this book
is a terrible person.
Or a stereotype and basically exploited to the 5th degree. And it just is abysmally bad. And I'm ashamed to have read it. I really am. And as soon as I can get rid of this, you're damn right I am, because this is just a piece of crap that no one should buy.
I might have a lighter in the back room.
Well, we're not going to set the store on fire.
Not the store, we'll take it outside.
Okay, well, can we burn the other copies?
Maybe.
Alright, but anyway, don't buy this, whatever you do. This is something that should be avoided at all costs. This is, like I said, one of the worst comics I've read in quite a long time.
Let's show the publishers that we don't want more of this style book.
I think the bad girl phase kind of should have died a long time ago. And this is a definite reason why bad girls shouldn't exist anymore. And it's just, if it's done right, great. But unless you have characters that are going to be likable, there's no point in releasing it.
You need to give us somebody that we can care about, other than caring that they die.
Yeah. And here's the thing. These characters have no traits to them. They're just basically stereotypes. They're all stereotypes. And it really, really ticked me off. So, don't pick that book up at all. It's terrible, and I Do not recommend it. So, that brings us to the close of another episode. I'm going to get an aspirin. We will see you next week. Have a good one.